Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he's got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast. You're all things, well, it used to be Super Rugby. Now it's Test Match Rugby. And in the not too distant future, it'll be NPC Rugby. But for now, we're talking Test Match Rugby. And there was plenty happening on the weekend just gone by. Once again, I'm joined in studio by former All Black, former Blues player, Piri.
Hey,
What?
just forget a couple others. They just stay with that one.
I can't remember.
Right then, sweet.
Where you been?
Oh, I just got back from Taranaki. My daughter was playing in the North Island champs, and they've done all right. I don't know. I've never sort of been to the tournament before, so it was a cool opportunity just to watch her sort of do her thing with her team when she got the opportunity. So yeah, they've done. I think they might have finished fifth.
When you say North Island champs, is that like club champs, college champs?
Well, representative.
Represent.
netball. Yeah.
Oh, so she was representing Wellington or
Piri. Kapimana.
Right. Oh, nice. How many teams?
Quite a few. I wouldn't know the number. I think there might have been at least 20 odd.
How many days did it go?
They just finished today.
Well, wait. Who won?
Good question. I didn't ask.
Didn't hang around for that.
Nah. I came back this to be here, Paulie.
Well, there we go. Yeah, you know that Piri rushes back to get back for the Pick and Go podcast. So we give him his due for that. But up north, once again, we're joined by Ben Searle of Searle Talk Sports. Searle, welcome back again. And no game for Northcote last week because you qualified so high up in the playoffs?
Yeah, no game last week, so a week off. There was a couple upsets in the quarterfinals too, so I'm glad we avoided those. This week we're up against Paulie's best mates in Takapuna in the semi-final. So yeah, second versus fourth. We were getting ready to play Massey, but Massey lost to the sixth place finishing side. So well done to Mahu for tripping them up. So now we've got Taka, so can't wait for that one.
Nice. Yeah, we'll hear more about that next week, I'm sure. But let's get back to Test match footy, and it was so good to have it back again last weekend. And one thing that came out of last weekend, and there's been a bit of chat about it already, but we should have a little talk about it as well. It's the shot clock. Is it a good law? Should we actually have a shot clock? And if we do, should it be visible to the players? And then how long should the shot clock be? I guess let's go to you first, Searle. I guess it's a good innovation to have. You don't want players taking half of smoko just to line up a goal and kick it. But should the players actually? I mean, if you count down in your head, you may be counting slightly different to the referee. So should there be a visible shot clock, not unlike basketball where they have it at the top of the backboard? Should rugby introduce something like that?
They could do, I guess. I like the shot clock rule just because, like you said, it does speed things up, and that's what the game is all about now, is ball and play, keeping that entertainment factor high. You want to see teams playing footy, not just wasting time intentionally. I kicked myself. I know Piri's kicked at a much higher level. Personally, the amount of time you're taking doesn't really come into your head, and referees do give you a warning if you're getting close to it. They will tell you, you got 10 seconds or whatever. So I'm not sure if we need a shot clock up on the screen. My biggest thing more is around having the same amount of time for both kicks. There's a minute 30 for penalties and and a minute 30 for conversions and a minute for penalties. I think they should both be the same. And there's some slight variances around when the shot clock starts. So the shot clock starts once the try has been awarded for a conversion or once you point to the sticks for a penalty. I think it should just be straight out a minute, and it starts once the kicker gets given the tee. So that stops any time killed in between there, which cuts down the kicker's process as well. So I'm a fan of the shot clock. I think it does need to be regulated. I don't know if it needs to be on a screen, but I think they can tinker those little things in and around it just to make it a bit more clear and obvious to the players.
Piri, as Searle mentioned, you've taken a few shots at goal in high pressure situations. Did you ever get the hurry up from the ref? Did you go, oi, come on?
No,
You didn't
think, because
it took that long to take.
we never really thought about you taking up that time and dragging that kick out. We pretty much just get to the spot, line everything up, and try and get the ball between the sticks. That was our main priority. It wasn't trying to milk anything else. But I think in the Southern Hemisphere they actually have the clock running, so that the boys know, because you can see them standing there waiting. So if there's a kick right in front, you can see them actually just waiting around for that time to go down before they actually take the kick.
Wait. Do you mean that there's a clock that's visible to the players, or
Not here, but I definitely know they do in the in the Northern Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere. Sorry, in the Northern Hemisphere, they definitely do, because you can always see that
so
players that are kicking
the
goals.
players, and they're going, okay, I've got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, they'll just sit there and just look, and you're like, mate, he's right there. Just tell him to kick the bloody ball.
Oh, so maybe there, but like Searle says, maybe they have too much time, and it should be. I don't know what time they have up in the Northern Hemisphere.
It's everything's the same. It's the same across the board. 90 seconds once you've scored a try, and then a minute for a shot at goal for penalty.
Well, that seems like plenty of time if they're sitting around waiting for the clock to count down before they actually attempt the penalty. I guess it goes towards a sort of style of game that you're trying to play as well. If you're trying to play an up-tempo game, you don't want to be mucking around taking a shot at goal. You want to take and then get play started again and back into the game. Whereas if you're, I guess, trying to slow things down, and we'll probably get to a little bit of that when we have a look back at the first test between the All Blacks and England about slowing things down. If that's your game plan, then you probably are going to take every single second when it comes to taking that shot at goal. Of course, the most important thing, Searle, is actually getting the goal over, getting the points on the board. And so sometimes that can count against you, I guess, if you're looking at the clock, think, we'll run this down as far as we can, instead of actually concentrating on lining the shot up, making sure everything's right, making sure that the processes that you go through before you take a shot at goal are all good. Your breathing's done, and then bang, you take the shot at goal.
Yeah, I think goal kicking's all about rhythm, routine, processes. Personally, if it was me and I was told to take another 20 seconds to bang something other than what I usually do, I think it would throw me off. I'd have way too long at the back of my run up to the mind would then start thinking about other things because my attention span's that short. So yeah, I'd just be sticking to what your normal process is. And I think having it 60 seconds for both, but it starts when the kicker gets their tee. That cuts down all that outside time that's wasted, getting the ball back, getting the tee on the paddock. And then you've got 60 seconds to go through your process. You know that regardless. If you take less time, then albeit, if you use up the 60 seconds, what most kickers take at least 30 to 45 anyway. There's a 15-second differential. It doesn't give your team that much of an advantage. So, yeah, I think there's a couple little tinkers they could bring into it, but I do rate the shot clock because the last thing we need is these like penalties like in soccer. They take forever, man. They just dance around at the back of their run up and try psych each other out. We don't need that in our game.
Well, if we go back a wee bit further, a bit before your time, Piri, I remember we used to use sand to put the ball up, or even before that, just kick up the turf on the ground and make a little mound of mud.
That was me. Did you have the square toe boots too?
Oh, come on. That's Mel Meninga, not me. Righty-ho. Another question for us for this week. If you have a look at the current English squad, which player from that squad do you think could fit into the All Blacks team right now? We'll go to you first, Searle here. Anyone in that English squad or that English team that played at Dunedin on Saturday night, anyone from there you go, actually, I think that guy wouldn't look out of place in a black jersey?
Yeah, I had George Furbank. I thought Perifeta played amazing, and I thought Bodie was good when he went there too. But I like Furbank's style of play, and I noticed he said during the week that he grew up idolising the All Blacks too. So that's a tick in the box there. He may be English, but he's an All Blacks fan, so he got his opportunity to play against the team that he grew up watching. And I thought he plays very similar to how we play down here in the South. He chances his arm a little bit. He's got a bit of razzle about him. And I think he's a world-class fullback that's really going to blossom over the next couple of years, the more opportunities he gets. So I wouldn't mind grabbing someone like him, although we're spoiled for choice here in New Zealand for fullbacks, really, when you think guys like Stevenson and that are 5th or 6th in the rankings. Perhaps we don't need him.
Piri, if you look at that English squad from the weekend, anyone there that you think, yeah, I think he'd go really, really well in the All Blacks team?
Maybe Smith, first 5'8". I think he's sort of quite electric. He's got the same sort of mentality as D-Mac, takes the ball to the line, quite explosive, tries to create opportunities and tries to put players into space, but can also be pushed to the back if needed to help as another opportunity for a second first 5'8" that's running around on the field.
Yeah, don't mind that. Oh, I thought Itoje, he had a big game in that English pack, and the fact that we've lost the likes of Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock over the last year or so, even though I thought Scott Barrett and Tui Pulotu both had very, very good games, I thought Itoje might slot in there. But another one I thought would be Sean Wallace, the Dark Destroyer, a big All Blacks fan, and I saw him in the crowd there at Dunedin. I think his brain in that All Black, I guess, coaching team might not go the worst. So yeah, Sean Wallace for mine, the Dark Destroyer from the Chase. Love that. Well, let's have a look at that first test. I guess, where do we go? The overall performance, 16-15 to the All Blacks. There were some very, very dicey moments there. Searle, your overall thoughts on that game, first test for the All Blacks?
Yeah, a win's a win, isn't it? And I think all three of us agreed last week that we didn't think it was going to be that 13-plus scoreline. We thought that the game was going to be tight, especially in that first 40 minutes, that the English had come in with a couple games under their belt and they were going to look to take it to the All Blacks, particularly in that first test before they head up to Eden Park, because history suggests that they don't really have a shot there. So, yeah, they threw everything at us there. Their line speed troubled us defensively. They were up in our face. It brought back memories of that 2019 Rugby World Cup semi-final where they were just into us and kind of trapped us in the middle of our attacking zones and we weren't able to get our ball to edges. So, yeah, they were up for it. They kind of brought everything that we thought they would. They had opportunities to win. I felt sorry for Marcus Smith because he is a great goal kicker, but clearly it just wasn't his night under the roof, and maybe he struggled to adapt to those conditions, or maybe he just struggled with the pressure of getting his first real start and like now owning that 10 jersey for the English, but it wasn't his night. So yeah, that game was there for the taking for the English. I think they would be stinging a little bit off the back of not getting the result. At the same time, it ticks the boxes for the All Blacks. They got the win, played some nice footy in patches, probably got a little frustrated at times that they didn't quite have it all their way. But on a 12-day prep to beat an English side, you bank that, and now you look to improve this week, knowing a bit more of what you can expect from the English.
Piri, set pieces, it was a bit of sweet and sour there, to be fair. The scrums, I thought we had the dominant scrum and probably gave away a penalty or two at scrum time just because we were possibly over eager, put the push on a wee bit earlier than the referee was happy with. The lineouts, on the other hand, they stole a few from us there. If you look at the forwards, you give them a pass mark after that performance in the first test?
Yeah, I think if you look at the all-round game, not just sort of set piece, I still think that the boys done a pretty good job in the pack. I know when you go up against Northern Hemisphere teams, scrumming's definitely, set piece is definitely one of their strengths. And for our boys to get those opportunities, early in the scrummaging, just a little bit too eager. But I don't know if that could be tactics. I know Marla likes to play a few mind games with his opposite, and I think he might have just got the better of Tyrell just a little bit with the mental side of it. But then when you got someone that's not about the mind games and just about trying to scrum, I think our whole front row did the job there. But no, I think across the board, I still think the pack done a pretty good job. They were physical, carried hard, cleaned out when they needed to, and presented the ball so that we could get good, quick quality ball. It didn't help that the opposition were on the same page as making things easy for them by getting off the line and trying to put pressure on us.
Searle, I guess two things that the English did very, very well. First of all, that defensive line of theirs really, really, I guess, put the All Blacks off their game plan slightly at times, and also their desire to slow the game down as well. Get the All Blacks sort of moving from set piece to set piece to set piece to set piece. Let's not get any second phase and they did that very well. Again, so defensively, I guess you must have been fairly impressed by the way the English went about their business.
Yeah, they clearly had that game plan, didn't they? And when you look through this All Black side, McKenzie, Sevu Reece, Mark Talia, you want to limit the time and space that these guys have with the ball and limit their opportunities. And we've seen Ireland be successful with it against us in the past. South Africa and England have used it multiple times against us to try and trap us in the middle, not allow us to get ball to width and work the ball to space. And that's going to be the biggest factor for the All Blacks this week at training, I would say, as they'll be coming up with the ways to play into that space. And I'm really keen to see how this new coaching group goes about that, because I'm sure there's plenty of footy IQ in there, and they've had some great challenges at Super Rugby level coming up against oppositions. But this is a big test for them at international and test level. Can they manipulate this All Blacks attack and game shape in order to go up against this English rush D and find success there? Because we saw when we get the ball wide, we're deadly. Like Sevu Reece was outstanding again. Mark Talia was so dangerous. Damian McKenzie, when he had time and space and was able to move the ball to the space, he looked great as well. So well done to the English. I'm just not sure if that's a defensive pattern you can roll out on multiple weeks against the same opponent and still get the same results, because I think the All Blacks will be good enough to adjust to it.
The breakdown, Piri, I thought it was a great battle between the loose forwards from both sides. Artie Severe was sort of everywhere, as we expect him to be, although he did seem to tire as the game went on. I'm guessing coming back from a Japanese season of rugby is not quite the same as coming off a Super Rugby season. So it looked like he needed that run under his belt. But I thought the English loose forward trio were very, very good. I thought Cunningham was, once again, he was similar to Artie, I thought. He had a lot of go forward in him, but sort of slowed down as they got into that second half. Earl was everywhere. I think the only mistake he made was probably that missed tackle on Perifeta, when Perifeta just put the dancing shoes on and absolutely just stepped them big time. That loose forward battle, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I think if you look at all the matchups in every position, this is probably one of the biggest ones in terms of who's going to be the most dominant when they take the ball into contact. Like the English loose forward trio, we're pretty physical, use their footwork quite well, and seeing opportunities where they could actually get behind the defense system. I mean, yeah, was it Cunningham himself? Cunningham, he was huge. Having a big frame like that to deal with, can suck one or two players into that area, which gives opportunities for guys to be running off his shoulders. So, but yeah, in terms of like your boys that go and fetch Underhill, he was huge. Papali'i was huge. I think Ari might have only had one shot just before he could get the to stretch the lungs and the legs after his season in Japan. But
He was running around for Oris, wasn't he? A week or
surprised he
two
wouldn't be
ago.
running around in fullback, reliving his youth days.
Searle, the bookies had the All Blacks at around 14.5-point favourites early on last week. They got crunched into 12.5-point favourite, and then I think they drifted out in the last couple of hours prior to game time, just with the weight of money that came for the All Blacks. Were they being a wee bit too generous towards the All Blacks for that first test?
Yeah, I think there was a massive home ground advantage, and I dare say if this game was played over at Twickenham, that line would have been very close. But I think just the anticipation of Razor, everything all coming together, everyone was feeling so confident heading into that one. But we did try to warn people that this English side is a good footy side. They'd be up for it. And the first test of the year, that's always the one where you feel like if you throw everything at them, two sides that haven't seen the way they're going to play off the back of World Cup campaigns, it's almost like a rebuild of the start of that new process, but it's not really. So that's the one where you can just throw everything at it and chance your arm and see what happens. And I think the English rocked up with that mindset and thought, if we're going to get a win over in New Zealand, which is few and far between, then it's got to be this first game and we've got to really go at them. And they did a really good job at that. There were opportunities there where that game could have gone completely the other way and the All Blacks could have been staring down an 0-1 record to start the season. So well done to the All Blacks at the same time for keeping that composure and getting the win, because it was pretty hairy there at times, and I'm sure they would have been feeling that pressure internally as well.
Okay, Piri, if you look at that game, who was your player of the match?
Ooh. Probably go with Sever Reese.
Hey.
Your favourite try scorer that we pushed you to start selecting. No, just his ability sort of to see pictures and try and turn it into a weakness, using his strength, power, and his footwork to beat defenders. And not only that, I don't think there's many wingers that can kick a 50-22. When he was, well, technically it might have been a 75-22.
Might have, yeah, I was just about to say it was 40-22.
It was a pretty good kick. First to turn and chase to get the ball, and then get a bit of space for separation so that he can actually execute a pretty good kick to relieve some pressure and put pressure back on England. So, yeah, I thought he was pretty solid throughout the course of the game.
Searle, who was your player of the match?
Yeah, I actually had Sever Reese as well. I have here dangerous with ball in hand, scored that first try, obviously, kicked that 50-22, had a big breakdown steal, smashed George Furbank a couple times as well, and showed that, geez, he's one of those guys when he gets his timing right on his defense, he can whack people. And I thought the back three in particular was really strong. And it brings up an interesting question, because I think going into that, the preference would have been to then start Bodie in the second test at fullback and give Stephen Perofeta the run for staying in New Zealand, and a bit of a nod to his commitment towards New Zealand rugby, whereas Bodie went away. But now I think Perofeta played too well in the starting jersey to not give him another crack. Like, surely that back three deserved an opportunity, because I thought all three of them were great.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Searle, because Stephen Perofeta was my man of the match, and I know went off fairly early in the second half to give Bodie a run, but I agree with you. I think it's very, very hard to not start him again at Eden Park. He looked very, very good with ball in hand. I don't recall him making an error at the back either. He looked just so like he had been an All Black for a number of years already. So I thought he was very, very good, and he's one player who I thought put his hand up and said, "Look, I know Will Jordan's coming back, but I can actually play a bit of footy myself. So, yeah, it's going to make a very, very interesting time when Razor gets to name his second ever All Black starting 15. And I hope we do see Perofeta's name in there because I think he thoroughly deserves it. I thought he had a massive game at the back there. Right. I guess now that we're talking about it, what changes, if any, would you make, Searle, to this All Black team for the second test? Now, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so the All Black team hasn't been named yet. But if you were in charge right now, are there any little tweaks that you would make? Well, obviously, you're going to have to make one because TJ's not available for the second test. But, yeah, where would you maybe just tweak things slightly? Or would you do a few wholesale changes?
I don't think we'll see wholesale changes. I think the team will be pretty similar, to be fair, and it was their first hit out as a unit, so I don't think we'll see too many changes. I'm gutted for TJ. I thought he was playing really well. He's come back from injury so strong, massive leader in this team, so it was really sad to see him go off, and fingers crossed it's not as bad as they initially thought. I know he said he's been feeling pretty good over the last couple of days, so hopefully that specialist report comes back with some good results and he's not long out of the game. Personally, I'd like to see Cortez get the start there because I thought Finlay was all right, but he didn't exactly set the world on fire. And I thought our ruck speed, when he came on, actually slowed down. And normally he's that quick, lightning fast halfback. So I'd like to see Cortez on there just to speed things up, and hopefully he gets the start. Apart from that, I can't see too many changes. They might tinker around in the 6 jersey, but I think Samipeni Finau's body of work throughout Super Rugby showed he deserves another opportunity, and he has the potential to be that bruiser for us in the 6. He just didn't quite show it to the level he would have wanted to on the weekend. And then, like I touched on before, I think Perofeta deserves another crack. And I think the wings and fullback was maybe where they might look to switch things up because there's so much quality there. You could easily just bring in Clark and Amoni Narawa as straight subs for both wingers, and no one would bat an eyelid. But I think that back three on the weekend deserves another start. So I can't see a lot of change. Cody Taylor was a little bit off the mark, particularly with his line-out work, but I think he is better served as a starter with a Suffle off the bench, just because I don't think you get the same impact as Cody off the bench. So I think just for the dynamic, I don't think we'll see a lot of changes personally.
Piri, if you were in charge of the selections, what sort of changes, if any, would you make for the second test?
I'd probably just keep things how they are. They've done the job, or they got the job done. Some of them might have been ugly, but they were able to, I guess, take the pressure from England and still be able to get the result. But no, I wouldn't really make any changes at all. I guess having Cortez coming into the mix now can, with which way they decide to utilize him, I'd probably say start him off the bench just to speed the game up even more when he does get his opportunity. Just because usually your impact is players come on and lift the team a bit more and get the opportunity to bring good energy. So yeah, I'm hoping that he gets a crack. Part of the selection process is that he gets him in the team, and then he gets his opportunity to go on a bit earlier as opposed to the back end of the game.
I was thinking I wouldn't mind seeing Leonard Brown start in the 13, maybe push Rico out to the wing, just see if he's given a wee bit more space, and whether the All Blacks can adjust to that English defensive up and in line, whether that, I guess, sees them score a few more points. But outside of that, I don't think he can make any wrong decisions in terms of if he does make any changes. I'm sort of thinking along the same lines as Searle. I'd love to see Omua get a start, but I think for the balance, it's better that he comes off the bench as opposed to Taylor. But I'm sure Suffle will get a start later on in the season somewhere. But boy, oh boy, I thought he made a bit of a difference when he did come on. The All Blacks certainly got a wee bit more go forward with him. But outside of that, be very, very interesting to see who Razor decides to go with in the second test. And I guess with that, we should probably have a look at the second test now and how we think it's going to flow. I can tell you the bookies have decided after that first test performance from the English, they've decided to just shorten them in a wee bit. They're now only $3.50 in the match result market. The All Blacks are $1.27, and they're only 10.5-point favourites now, the All Blacks, as opposed to, I think they opened up at 14.5 last week. They may have got out to 15.5 before kickoff. So there's a wee bit of, I guess, respect for the English there. However, having said that, the record of the All Blacks at Eden Park is ridiculous. 30 years now, unbeaten at Eden Park. And I'll start with you, Piri, because I had a look, and I think your first test for the All Blacks at Eden Park was in 2005 against the Wallabies, where you started. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys actually won that game 34-24. Dougie Howlett scored 3 tries. But did you feel any additional pressure when you played at Eden Park for the All Blacks to keep that unbeaten streak going? Did it ever come up in team talks?
No, we've never really talked about it. We've just talked about making sure we get our processes right during the week. There's never any talk about continuing the streak there. It's more basically that's our fortress, that we try not to let people come in and take over our fortress. But yeah, we've never verbally spoken about it in terms of we've never lost a game in 30 odd years or so. So let's not be the first team to do it. It's more, this is our fortress. If anyone decides to come in, we need to protect the fortress, and they need to be going home licking their wounds, kind of mentality more than anything. But yeah, geez, that's a long time ago, 2005.
Well, we have to go back even further for the last loss for the All Blacks there at Eden Park, 1994, July 3rd. So that is a long 1994. The All Blacks lost 23-20 to France. And then the very next game, they actually drew with South Africa 18-all at Eden Park. So 1994, a long time ago. I have a look. I don't think you were part of that. No, you were definitely not part of that All Black team.
Primary school then.
Well, I sort of remember it because I think the French scored the try from the ends of the world. I think it was. The All Blacks were up, and I think they may have missed touch, and then the French, as they can do at times, threw the ball around and ran it back from their own 22 and scored a try towards the end of the game, which won it for them 23-20. And that was a very, very good French team as well, with the likes of Philippe Salat, Emile Intermac, Benazi, Califano. They were a very, very good team. So, Searle, 30 years of domination, I guess you could say, at Eden, the Garden of Eden, where visiting teams are treated like pests, and the All Blacks just spray insecticide on them. And that's it. They never are successful at Eden Park.
You're giving ammo here, right? To anyone that is just going to make things worse.
Yeah, this is the ultimate commentator's curse, but it's the poorly podcast curse.
I'm just stating facts. 30 years. The All Blacks have not been beaten at Eden Park. How much does that factor in, do you think, Searle? First of all, for the bookies.
Oh, it has to. This will be the 50th game. We're 49 matches unbeaten at the moment, so this will be the 50th game, which is a remarkable record. I Like, is that matched in world sport? I'm not too sure, because it's not like we're playing like low quality opposition either. This is South Africa, Australia, England, France. These are quality sides coming across here. Everyone wants to be the team to break that streak. And I noticed the English brought up yesterday in their first media session that they are not worried about this record. Well, the fact you're talking about it straight away shows that it's been spoken about and you're aware of it. So whether it's at the front of their mind or it's just in the back, like when times get tough and the All Blacks, say if they score early, you can guarantee a few players in their heads are just like, man, they're unbeatable at this place, because it's impossible not to factor that in. So I think the bookies definitely have. But I reckon they got it wrong. Like, I reckon last week it should have been these odds, and this week it should have been last week's odds, because I think this is the week the All Blacks hit their straps at home. So I'm loving the work of the bookies at the moment, because I think the All Blacks, this is the week where that 13 plus could come into play for me. I'm quietly confident that we'll go away now, do our work, sold out Eden Park, the fortress, with a game under our belt. I think if we're going to turn it on against the English, it's in this game, not the first game.
Okay, Piri, what are you hoping to see from the All Blacks this weekend against England in terms of an improved, I guess, well, maybe not result, but how they, I guess, their processes, how they go about their business?
Obviously, it'll be a review of what happened on the weekend. I think the biggest part will be how do they work under a lot of pressure, especially sort of in that middle of the field, trying to get the ball into that space on those edges, making sure that they've got players available. I remember when we played South Africa, they started the blitz defense system, and obviously we had never played against it ever in our careers leading up to that. So it was what we could do to try and change the picture on them. Because they obviously fixed on who they take within their system, and they all pretty much tell each other who they're taking. So it's about showing different pictures and making sure that they don't see a last minute picture that pops up. By then it's executed and already taken care of. So having boys aware of the flyers that are in the midfield trying to stop our attack, and then not only that, how they're going to get around that. I know that pedal step on Earl was with that Fijian fend. Oh, such a beautiful thing that. I never had one. I was someone that got in. They got put on his bum from one. But it's just being able to see those pictures and trying to change it, because when you can catch the ball early enough and put a bit of footwork on someone that's sprinting, you're basically beating them as soon as you move off the line of contact. So that area there, and then not only that, our defense around our heart, around the ruck area, needs to be a bit more sharp. I think we're flying up on the outside, trying to control them, but yet we're not moving up good enough around the ruck area. Maybe we shouldn't have said this, mate. When's this going to?
Well, see, don't tell me that I'm the one who's giving them oil. They're more likely to take notice of a former All Black.
You are.
Searle, if you have a look at the All Blacks' recent form at Eden Park, they've scored 40 or more points in their last 3 matches at Eden Park, and 7 of their last 8, they've scored 33 or more. So they tend to score a few points at Eden Park, and it's just whether, and I guess that goes towards your last comment where you said, I think this week's odds for the All Blacks should have been last week's, and last week's should have been this week's, because it seems to me they love to, I guess, give the ball a wee bit of air, and they seem to be able to score points almost at will against the opposition at Eden Park. So can you see a similar thing eventuating this Saturday night?
Yeah, well, this was actually going to be my hunch. 30 years, 30 points. The All Blacks get it done by plenty. Yeah, I can. But like Piri said, the key for me is how we manipulate their defence in the middle of the paddock. And I actually thought Ireland did a great job against South Africa on this in their test match. They ran like a 3 forward pods set up, but they also had a couple forwards that were floating around that would join in late, and it just changes the picture. So when you're bringing line speed, Ireland use like inside balls to those floating forwards, or they play across the face to that fourth forward in the pod. And you can't bring line speed on that. As soon as there's any disconnect and you've got ball playing forwards, they'll just pick you off if they have numbers there. So perhaps we see the All Blacks do something similar to that, or more release balls out the back to move the ball away from contact a bit. So that's going to be the key for me. But the weather's meant to be really nice up here. It's meant to be a nice night, which should allow for running rugby. And I think this is the weekend we hit our straps, just because we've had 80 minutes in the saddle now. I don't predict the team to change much. So this is where we can start to expect a little bit more from the All Blacks, all given it's only the second hit out. But I do think we'll see a step up in performance. And now we know the way England are going to play, I expect us to come in with the tools to break down that defensive wall.
Piri, just getting back to the Eden Park thing, it's a strange shape stadium. The I guess in terms of the field, it's not quite, what would you call it, symmetrical. Did you find kicking there easier than or harder than kicking at other grounds, or it didn't really factor in at all?
You're asking the wrong guy, Paulie.
What about because there was quite a bit of kicking in the first test down in Dunedin, so I'm just thinking, is those box kicks, and they do them quite a lot more these days than they used to when you were playing. But yeah, you did quite a few. In fact, George Gregan used to tell you when you were going to do a box kick. Did you find it easier? Did you find was it different kicking at Eden Park, or it's different kicking at any stadium?
It's difficult kicking when you've got a massive lot trying to stop you from doing the box kick and trying to get you either to a contestable kick or clearing it further down the field to relieve a bit of pressure. But I guess a lot of teams these days try and give themselves enough room. So obviously there's that centipede that halfbacks utilise. Just so that they can get away from being charged down. Whereas we never really thought about it back then. We just made sure that we got ourselves into a better position, or if the ruck speed was real good, there would be an opportunity for them to set up to try and put pressure on us to get the box kick away. But no, I never really look at the what did you say, isometric?
The shape of certainly for cricket, it's really a weird shape. But it doesn't seem like it's like the tinny house. That's round. Boom. You put the field in the middle, done. Whereas Eden Park just seems slightly oblong, slightly.
You mean it's straight at the and then a bit round on the edges. So
Jeez, this is quality stuff, mate.
Did you get in my body?
You got a problem with Eden Park's dimensions, Paulie. We've won 49 games straight. Every stadium should look like Eden Park.
Where are you going with this?
Well, that's what I'm.
Is this probably something to do with the Hunch? That's probably what it is.
No, that's what I'm trying to. It's like the All Blacks are so successful there because it's a weird shape for opposing teams, so they don't get used to it. The All Blacks are used to it.
If there's test matches, they usually put temporary seating in, so it actually looks a bit more square.
Oh, they do too, yeah.
But it's only Super Rugby that they don't do that. That's probably why you think it's like that. But when they have test matches, they always put the temporary seating in to have more numbers in there.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll leave it. All right. I can hear you go. You're not happy with that one.
No, I don't know where you're going with this. It's like you're trying to get anything, any little edge here.
What are we? Don't tell me we're running out of time. Crikey, we've got to keep to a certain schedule here. We were going to do a quick review of the other internationals that went on over the weekend. I
think we only had one that didn't quite come through on our.
We'll get to the betting.
Southern Hemisphere, only one team didn't quite do their job.
Who would have thought Piri would bring betting up the week after he tips out a $13 winner? But anyway, we'll get to that a wee bit later on in the show.
That's right. We'll keep helping you with your $1,000 return.
But just out of the other internationals that were on, Searle, South Africa, Ireland, Australia, Wales, and of course the Japanese 15 up against the Māori All Blacks. Any of those matches there that you looked at and thought, I didn't expect that, or no, they probably unfolded as I thought?
I think most of them did unfold as we thought, apart from the Japan Māori All Blacks game, like you mentioned there. But I just wanted to touch on that South Africa Ireland game because that was a hissing game of footy, and South Africa, they just do it so well, right? Like even before the game, the fans are going mental. They fly the plane over that's got the South African flag on it. At the end of the game, the fans were singing the Zombie song, but they changed the words to Rassie, saying he's in your head, Rassie, which you just love. They're into the Irish straight away. They're such a proud rugby nation, and Ireland, for a team that's traveling on the road to rock up in South Africa and put in a performance like that, I think they can be proud too. So it was just two quality sides going at it. It was physical, it was fast. The Irish played their style, South Africa played theirs, and they've got a nice little rivalry going on at the moment too off the back of that World Cup clash. So I thought that was the game of the weekend for me personally. I thought that both teams played some really good football, and that was an intense test match.
Piri, that was a brutal test match. And speaking of the Irish, Joe Schmidt got his Wallabies coaching career off to a very good start, taking care of Wales. You impressed with how the Wallabies played, or that was just par for the course?
No, well, Wales didn't really put in a pretty solid performance in Six Nations at all. So I think they're still on a rebuild. But I mean, this is in some ways a confidence booster for the Wallabies in terms of how they want to start their campaign with their new coach. Yeah, can't really take much out of it really with that test, just because both teams have been struggling with putting in solid performances over the last couple of years, and I feel like maybe this is the opportunity now to grow the footy over in Australia, and this is a booster for them just in terms of the confidence moving forward. I know, it'll be the biggest test will be the championship coming up against our other nations, but yeah, I wouldn't take much out of it at this stage, other than it's a confidence booster for them under the new coaching staff.
I enjoyed the whole weekend with all the international rugby, and I agree with Shirley. I thought that South Africa-Ireland game was you could sort of feel the hits through the television screen, and I've never seen a small Springbok pack on the pitch, but boy, they've got some big boys in that pack, and they've got some big boys that come off the bench when they make a few changes. I take my hats off to the Irish because they took the game to the Springboks, and I think they ran out of a little gas at the end just through the attrition that what they had to sustain. It was. Mate, if I'm on that, I'm off. Take me off, coach. I pulled the hammy. I ain't tackling. I'm done. That was a massive test match.
What position are you playing then if you're saying that, Paulie?
Okay, yeah. Let's move on then, boys. Searle, I heard you say hunch before. So here you go. Just throw us your hunch now, because I'm really looking forward to this one.
No, well, I was just walking down memory lane in my head the other day, just reminiscing on all these famous All Blacks wins at Eden Park, and the number popped into my head, 30 years. I was also flying back from Sydney after watching the Warriors get robbed on the weekend, and I was in seat 30D on the plane. So I thought everything's aligning up here. I keep seeing 30s everywhere. Then I saw the odds for 13 plus, and I thought, you beauty, they've gone nice to us here. And then you see 30-40 winning point margin. We've got 49 wins at Eden Park. All these numbers being dished up at me. So All Blacks 30 plus. That's my hunch this week. I reckon we turn it on. 30 years, we celebrate that with a famous victory at Eden Park.
All right, Piri.
I can't beat that.
Your hunch.
That was a good hunch.
Thanks, mate.
I don't have one.
I've got one, and it's because of the little bit of research I did because of the record of the All Blacks at Eden Park. I wanted to go back and find out the first time that Piri played for the All Blacks at Eden Park, and I really hope it is this 2005 Tri-Nations Bledisloe Cup match against the Wallabies, where Doug Howlett scored 3 tries. I want an option, any player to score 3 tries this Saturday night at Eden Park. I think it's going to happen. Really. I think we will see a slightly more open game than what we saw down at Forsyth Bar and Dunedin under the roof. So, yeah, I'm hoping that this All Black tradition of scoring points at Eden Park, I hope it continues this Saturday night, and I think it will. I think we might see a player score 3 tries on Saturday night, and I'll say it now. It's going to be a player in the black jersey too. Right.
You're lucky you got that part right.
Yeah. I thought I should throw that out there before you have a go at me again. Right. Let's have a look at the betting, and we'll have a little look back to last week, because I know Piri wants to have a little look at it last week. We'll start with Searle, though. Searle last week, what did we have there?
Don't worry about it, Paulie.
Oh, no, Searle. All Blacks, Australia, South Africa, all to win, which was paying just over $2. Had $70 on that. And then he also had Cody Taylor to score a try, $30 on that. That wasn't successful, but still came out with a profit, and is now only down $211.40 for the season. Piri Weepu. He had 3 bets. He had All Blacks, Australia, South Africa, and Argentina all to win. Unfortunately, he should have followed Searle here and left Argentina out, because that didn't go too well. He also had Geordie Barrett to score a try. That didn't happen. But he had $50 on the draw at halftime between the All Blacks and England, paying $13. $50. $50. So Piri is now up $443.20 for this season.
I'm out of the debt zone at the moment. I'll take it.
Well, I hope that you can continue that form this week, Piri. I had 3 bets. The Wallabies to win by 13 or more. That was no good. Beauden Barrett to score a try. That was no good. But I was going to take Cody Taylor, but because Searle had already taken it, you forced me to take Artie Severe, and Artie did score a try. So I thank you guys for forcing me into Artie Severe. I'm
That's
now.
all right. We'll give you all your bets for you.
Yeah, your only bet's that winner when we make you do something.
I'm only up $709.87 for
Mainly.
yeah, unfortunately.
But that's 2 wins for the whole season out of all your tips, so you're doing all right.
Okay, let's have a look to this coming weekend. And the boys have got the markets out for the big 4 internationals. I'm sure there'll be a few more open by the time we get to the weekend. As I said, All Blacks $1.27, England $3.50, Wallabies $1.22, Wales $4, South Africa $1.30, the Irish $3.30, and then Argentina, still favourites, Argentina $1.72. Up against the French at $2.05. Searle, let us know where your money's going.
Well, I've gone 2 options here. One's a multi, one's just to play it straight. Off the back of my hunch, I just did an All Blacks total points over 30.5 because I'm going on that 30 number. That's just $1.85. So I'm just chucking 50 on that in the hopes that if my multi doesn't come in, then at least I've got a winner there, something to ride home. I'll still be in the negative and it won't be groundbreaking, but it keeps me afloat. It stops me from going to see the bank. And then my second multi, this is one that I'm hoping can get me back into the positive. It's pretty straightforward, but I went All Blacks and Australia, both 13 plus. And then the Springboks 1-12 against Ireland. That's paying $10.92. I'll chuck 50 on that.
Right, Piri. After the heights of your draw at halftime last week, where are you going this week?
Everyone listen in.
I'm going to go with the Pacific Island team. So Samoa and Tonga. I'll put $25 on them to win. And then I'm going to go with, for the All Blacks game, I'm going to go England to lead the game at halftime. And then the All Blacks to come home with the win. And I'm going to put 50 on that. I don't know what to do, by the way. Is that even a bet?
Oh, yeah, that's a bet. I'll just see if I can find it for you.
And then for my last one, I'm going to pick Ireland, Argentina, and the ABs to win. So 50 and 25 for that last multi.
Argentina, right?
Samoa as well. That was a great win by the Samoans over Italy on the weekend. Great game too. I don't think that. Hold on. England to lead at halftime. All Blacks to win.
Yep.
$6. What'd you put on that?
50.
Oi.
Nice. Jeez.
Just on that Samoa game too, a shout out to my mate Murphy Taramai. He actually played for Upper Hutt a couple years back. He was named to start in the 7 jersey. His eligibility didn't come through in time because he played for New Zealand Sevens. So he was scratch, but they still had him on the team sheet. And when the guy scored, they were like, Murphy Taramai, try. So he scored his first international try without even taking the paddock or making his debut yet, which is outstanding stuff. He's a man of many talents, old Murph.
If the boys put out a market for any player to score 3 tries, I will have $25 on that. And the other 75, I'm just going to put on total tries in the match over 6.5, $75 on that. That's paying $2.10. So 75 on that and 25 on if the boys do put out a market, and I'll ask them, pretty please, hopefully they will, any player to score a hat trick, and I'll have 25 on that. Hopefully we'll get a boosted price as well. I think we've come towards the end of the show. The promotions for this week, I don't know if the boys had, oh yes they have. We've got a 3 or more leg same game multi bonus cashback for the All Black England Test match. It's just if one league fails, up to $50. La-di-da-di-da. Check out all the T's and C's, the TAB website. Of course, there's also the Mega Multi Oval Ball bonus cashback offer as well. So there's a few chances there for you to get some bonus cash if your multi isn't quite successful. Right, Piri, what's up this weekend?
Going to Rotorua this weekend. Coaching my daughter's under 14 Māori league team, and we leave on Friday to start our campaign, which starts on Saturday.
One game?
Nope, it'll be 3 on the Saturday, and if they do really well, they go 3 on the Sunday. The third one will be the final, but yeah, we'll see how things go, but it'll be good. Both my daughters decided to play a league this year for the Ngā Hauiwha Wainui Mata team, and I'm supporting one and then coaching the other.
Did you play league for Wainui?
Yes. I grew up playing league, so.
Did you do it while you were an All Black?
Maybe.
Under a different name?
Maybe. Are you confusing me with my older brother?
Oh, yeah. Who, Billy?
Yeah.
Oh,
the bigger, faster, and more dominant of the two brothers.
To be fair, Wainui had a bloody good league team. What was it? Up through the sort of the 90s,
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
Red Cup days.
Red Cup, yeah. And they even went to, I know we're talking league and it's a rugby union fogger, but the Wainui league, they went to the, what do you call it? The Brisbane
Coca-Cola Sevens?
Well, it was Sevens then, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they changed it to
Nines.
New Zealand league instead of a Wainui. We did it 2 or 3 years running.
Yeah, Wainui played the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, Tana was in one of those years.
Yeah.
I think David Lomax was playing. Johnny obviously would have been at Canberra at the time, but David was running around as well.
Yeah.
Lomax.
I remember because I think Alfie was playing for the Broncos in that 7-a-side team.
We had Missy Fata ran around Michael Hancock.
Hancock, that's it, yeah. Hancock and Curry, yeah. All right. Well, we better get over to Searle. Searle, the big semi-final this weekend. Northcote taking on the might of Takapuna. That's going to be a huge game, obviously.
Yeah, 2:45 kickoff. Hopefully it's not Super Sunday, Mad Monday. Hopefully we drag that out for another week. Fingers crossed it's a quiet night on the couch watching the All Blacks after a win, but we'll see because, two sides that just, big rivalry between these two. So it's going to be a great game.
Who won the last time you played?
We played them once this season and we bet them, but both teams have changed a little since then, both with injuries or players coming back from supers and things like that. So, it's going to be an interesting game, that's for sure. And then North Shore are taking on Mahurangi in the other semi-final. I think it's the first time Mahu have been in there for yonks. So congrats to them as well. That's a massive achievement for them.
Nice, huge. Righty-ho, I think that's for us for this week. We'll be back next week, of course, where we look back at the second test between England and what's their team name? All Blacks, and see if they're...
What?
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Keep it right.
You can't reverse the curse, mate. You've already cursed us if we lose. It's your fault.
Now, let's see if this 30-year streak continues. So don't forget, tune in again next week, same time, same bat channel. And I'll be back again with Piri and Searle. We'll be talking all things rugby.